Hi everyone.
Hi, Abhi.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh, what happened? Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, hi Ritika.
Today's pictures look so different. I mean, like looking at a skull, but it looks so beautiful.
It's very unusual. That's true.
Is this the festival where they make those sugar skulls and all?
Yes. These are called sugar skulls. It's called Dia de los Muertos.
Yeah, they know.
And we're supposed to say the S as if we have a lisp. So it's Dia de los Muertos. I don't think I can ever learn Spanish.
Spell the last word.
Day of the Dead, no?
Day of the Dead.
Day of the Dead. Yeah. In Catholic faith, it is it's a very important day.
So what is the significance, Susan? Can you tell us?
Hold on, no?
Sorry. You're saying?
Correct, I think. Can you hear me, Aditi?
Now we can, yeah.
Yeah. No, of the day itself?
Yeah. I mean, do you celebrate it? Do we celebrate it here as well among the Christian community here?
In India, in Indian Catholics do.
Okay. Oh, you're stuck. Oh, okay. Too much load.
This is one of
There was a
completely.
Disney movie called Coco, which was quite
Coco.
nice.
Yeah,
My favorite.
I
It was
love
about
that
Bay of the
movie.
Dead. I love that movie.
It's such a lovely way of teaching somebody about the culture, no? Making a Disney movie out of everything. I think we should make a Disney movie about Holi, Diwali. Rama and Mahabharata, Disney should just appropriate and make it for us. I think it would be wonderful. I've been saying for a long time, somebody like
There was
Ridley
a
Scott
very nice.
should make Mahabharata.
There was a very nice uh, Japanese animated version of Mahabharata.
Yes, yeah.
At least 15-20 years ago.
Yeah. It was very interesting. Wait, let's look for it. Japanese.
Very
Yeah, I remember that.
beautifully
It was done
animated.
very well. I think that's why I still feel Indian animation lacks. I've seen some of their quality is not up to par.
Yeah, but that's because apart from I guess food, none of our stuff is up to
But
par.
they don't get the cuteness factor, no?
No.
They don't get it. Like even just regular drawing when they do those animations. I'm talking,
Horrible.
the Doordarshan type.
Yeah.
They were doing those little characters, the little girls and boys. You don't feel
Some
the
of
eyes.
them,
I always have is the eyes.
yeah, it is the eyes. And if you can see, I think this all goes down to just complete lack of depth in aesthetic understanding. They don't spend too much time, I found. So just make two circles and put two dots in it. Some of the costumes made for birthday parties of supposedly cute furry animals are so hideous. It's so scary. I mean, you would have even a Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck is so scary. They don't know how to make them cute. It's too much to for our people, I think, to think about these things. I remember reading an article about this, how actually Disney animation has gone to such an extreme level. It is, I think it's like the Google of animation. So they have an institute as well, no? So the kind of study they do, I remember one study, and I've spoken about this when we do portraiture and we do eyes, that they studied how children respond to different colored eyes, and not just the pupil. That seems to not matter as much, but the white of the eye. And then there was an evolutionary study done where, as mammals, we are more likely to befriend or make pets out of animals which have the same kind of eye. Most mammals have the same kind of eye. The few that don't are things like goats. I mean, goats' eyes are really ugly.
Yeah.
But a deer's eye is beautiful. A dog's eye, a cat's eye. Most people don't like cats because you can't see the white of the eye. That's why it looks sinister. So they did this study, a psychological study of how just by looking at the eye of a creature, you might find it cute. And then if you find it cute, there's a certain sense of kinship. And so you don't want a little rabbit to die, but you don't mind if a snake dies. It's more the eyes than anything else. There's no, they don't hate snakes. They've never been bitten by a snake. They've probably never even seen a snake. So they would they would take that characteristic and put that on a human form that they want to look scary or ugly or hateable. Like this, the Chengiz Khan character in Mulan. He's got red eyes. The white of the eye is red. And you have no problem in the end that he is slaughtered. Because they just, whatever action he does, the moment he has white of the eye, you feel, "Arey nahi, jane do bechare ko." But the moment he has red, you say, "Okay, nothing doing. You're not one of us." Isn't it strange? But they do that level of study. And here they'll just make two
I
dots.
did understand the shapes because you've taught us about the eye, when the pupil is small and big and all that.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize the colors and the animal one. That's very interesting. Because I love snakes. They don't bother me. Actually, I love doing reptiles.
Yeah, so it is not universally true, but to a large extent, it has. So I just read this as an article, and
It makes sense.
yeah, it does make sense. All right, so let's begin with our sugar skulls today. So this module was a hit with the kids class. I did this last year in October, November, and they absolutely loved it. And some kids went on this binge drawing session and they kept making sugar skulls. So I thought, why should the adults also not have so much fun? So that's why I chose the sugar skulls today. And I've shared a variety of applications of sugar skulls. It's not just on sugar. And there's a lovely history about how these things come about. So the making of or using skulls for or having an annual celebration using skulls was apparently the culture in Meso America. So the entire Mexico to Middle America, South America. Parts of those have a common culture, of which there was something about displaying skulls, and they don't have to be real skulls, obviously, but to honor the dead. This was a culture even before the Catholics over there or the Christians over there made common or started following. But I believe like Susan was saying, there is also a similar such celebration of the dead. Like even Hindus, we have that, right? We have our Pitru Pandroda. So it may not be celebration, but it's at least acknowledging the dead and do your pujas or whatever. So in every culture, I think there seems to be this thing because I, it's a perpetual sword hanging on our head. That is like death and taxes. You can't escape these things. So having that time given, especially, I think makes it easier for everyone to enjoy the rest of the year. And also finish your mourning during that time. Share your joys with people who have passed. So you're free to enjoy the rest of the year. So I'm going to share a few pictures that I found how in other cultures this part is also celebrated or seen in gravestones. And these are, I think, gravestones in New England. So New Hampshire, Connecticut, those areas. These are gravestones right from 1690. You see the dates, and you'll see the skull on top of the gravestone with a statement that says memento mori.
Remember to die.
Now, if you look at this tattoo, let me share screen. You see the two phrases over here, memento vivere and memento mori. So memento mori is meant to stay, that remember you are going to die.
Yeah. It says on one of the graves,
yes,
it says, remember to die.
Yeah, so the whole statement is also over here. As I am, you must, so must you be, therefore prepare to follow me. So this is supposed to be remember to die. And it can have different kinds of meanings. But I want you to focus on the fact that all of them have a skull with wings or just a skull with bones. Now, the skull and bones also has its own history. At some point, I will share that. Again, a skull with wings. And here, the skull is over here, the wings are on the angel. So these, it is meant to indicate that since you know you're going to die, either carpe diem, live to the fullest, or live responsibly, live thoughtfully, meaningfully. It could mean a lot of things because in the end, you're going to die. So that memento mori is meant to state whatever. Then you can say whatever you want. Aaj jitna khana hai kha lo. Remember, you have to die. Even that works. So that culture was prevalent also. So then when the two skulls met, and then when the Spanish invaders came to Meso America, at every point they wanted to, everyone wants to integrate the locals, but how much can you keep killing? So you just say, you know what, you want to follow this, your dead will feel happy because they were not Christians possibly. If you think that it's going to work, that you want to continue this, let's do it together. Let's do it on so-and-so day so that you're happy, we're happy, and you can be integrated into the better religion as they saw it. And then that became the tradition. So traditionally, I believe the skulls were tiny and they would make them out of, you won't believe this, out of amaranth. So that's Rajgira. Oh. And this was Rajgira seeds, not puffed Rajgira, the one that we eat for upas. And I did some research, and very depressingly, apparently, we did not have Rajgira before the colonists got into India. So we did not have Rajgira laddu or anything. I was very sad to see that. So our lal mat is from South America. It's supposed to be a superfood, and just that grain was used to make those sugar skulls. There was just skulls. Then the culture of making sweet offerings was brought in also by the Spanish. And there was, the locals did not have the kind of resources to make sweet offerings, but they had abundant sugar. So there was a confectioner, an Italian confectioner, who started making this sometime in the 1700s, who started making the same kind of skulls in sugar as candy. And then people started making sugar skulls and decorating them with a whole lot of icing. So if you actually look for sugar skull candy, you will find those. They're really tiny. Sometimes they're just about this big. You get molds in which you take powdered sugar, wet it a little bit, and make molds out of that. So it's almost like battase that we get at Padwa. They probably eat it, I don't know, or it's just kept as offering. So the designs that we see now are just a celebration of that battasa. It's an edible item which has now become just the symbol of, it went from being a symbol of just honoring the dead to an edible item and offering to now just graphics that we are going to make. So we are, I'm just going to show you a simple design to make a skull. So here we have very elaborate designs, and I wanted to share these with you because the design on top of the skull should be your own. Just make whatever you want. I will share some options from previous designs that I've done, but make it very colorful, or you can make it monochromatic. I was going to say monotonous. No, monochromatic. This is also very pretty. Or you can make it just, this is like a coloring book. Or you can also make it in gouache on black paper. So there are very few things that you need to know about this, just a proportion, and then you can adapt it to whatever you want. I love this. It's so Mexican, full of jadak colors, and very festive.
You know, Aditi, this you can also do with black crayon and
Yeah,
then give it a black wash. You'll get the same effect.
that would be very nice also. Love the idea. So you'll often see that the sugar skulls at least don't look menacing or sad or angry. They are at least happy. I mean, if not totally happy, they're not killing you. See, like over here, you see a smiley face, because it's supposed to be a happy day. It's supposed to be a day where you are communicating with people that have loved you, that you love. So we're not going to make very sinister faces. It's also very nice, would have been tattoo. Okay, so I'm going to start off with some very simple shapes and then give you a slightly more elaborate shape. And then I'll share something that we did in the kids class. And then I'll give you some designs, which then you can adapt and use however you want to. All right. So to start off the skulls, again, instead of starting from the outside, I would recommend that we start with the features first and then go towards the outside. So make a small design in the beginning. Don't make it too large. So let's start with a heart shape here. It's a exaggerated heart shape. This is supposed to be the nose cavity, the nasal cavity. From here, you can draw a line going up, a very light line, because on either side of that, we are going to place two ovals or circles. You can just make two circles. So just maybe half of this heart above on either side. So maybe at, say, 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock and 10 o'clock. You make these two circles equidistant from the center and about the same distance as the heart down. We will draw a line that goes from the edge of the eyes from one edge to the other edge. So this distance is about the same as the shape of the heart. It can be slightly lower, I think. Okay. Now, starting from the center, start making these inverted U shapes. Always from the center, because then you can control the where the teeth meet. And as you come to the side, maybe you can reduce the size of the teeth. Do the same thing from the bottom of the same line. Oh. Now, after this is done, here some proportions matter. Make a line that comes down from just above the eye socket. And we have to make it like this. Just watch this first. This is our cheekbone. So it comes almost identical from both sides. And comes towards the mouth. So this is normally what you would probably have as the top part of the skull. And the jaw is then attached to the bottom by a tendon. Normally, you won't see the top and the top part of the skull and the jaw attached unless it is stuck there. Then from just underneath over here, you will draw a line that goes straight. Make it go around the teeth. And then maybe make a small chin over here. And then from the sides, just a little away from the sides, you will make the head. I don't have enough space on top, but it can go a little higher.
Hashika?
Okay, this is our basic form. Now you can also make something as simple, I suppose, as, 1 second. So you can make something as simple as this. You can do, again, just 2 circles. I'm making a small one this time. A heart like that. This is an upside down heart. And a rectangle below that with just representative teeth. And again, just something like this. And depending upon the space you have, you can make many of these, or you can make a few of these, which are more elaborate. Okay, so with these done, I'm going to give you a few motifs to draw. So we can use up this entire page to make these drawings, and then you can pick and choose and make your own sugar skull. And if you have some paper lying around, maybe on loose sheet, if you make it, you can even hang it somewhere. So the simple stuff that we can do are flowers like these. You have just daisies. You want to give yourself a lot of room to color. So don't make very intricate patterns on the flowers. Allow the flower shapes to be rather simple. Then you can have something like this. Have slightly bigger petals. And then between those petals, you can have this, almost like sepals. You can also have some lines over here. Then they have a lot of roses. So I'm going to show you a few rose patterns to make. So one of the easy rose patterns that I really like is like that. You make a shape like a Marathi one. And in that, you start making petals. So you make a petal over here, and you make a petal like this. Then you can make a bud out of this by just connecting over here and over here. This becomes your central motif. You can also make one more curve inside. So this becomes like a rose bud. Let's make this one more time and then make the flower around it. So you have the shape of a one. You can have one petal over here, overlap a second petal like this, a petal on the inside, and round everything off to make a rose bud. And then we will start building petals around it. So you can start by making a petal like that. So in some places you make a point coming outward, and some places it goes inward. And we don't make it too big. This should be enough. And then you can make a serrated leaf around. Now another kind of rose, again, like this, there's another center we can make, which starts off with a circle. And in this, you can make just lines that are going inward, like a shutter, the shutter of a camera. And here you can make petals like these, which we can fold. We've done this design long time ago, I think, at least the petal patterns. And remember to overlap these petals. And these can be embellished with lines to make them look more graphic. Now look for flowers which have.
Aditi,
Yeah.
can you please show the the center part again, like of this new one?
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you start with a circle and then you just make curves around the going along the edge from the inside. And then once you've done these three, then you repeat that in between the earlier. So you get a very small repetition over here. All right. So when you're making these designs, look for anything that you can do around the eyes. And some of these can be flowers also. I'll come to more roses. But there can be flowers like these. So suppose the center is like this. This is, let's imagine this is the socket of the eye. We can do all sorts of designs. So you can do something like this. It's a very lacy looking pattern. This is commonly seen. So I won't put anything in the eye, but I'll do this. This looks very pretty also. For those of you who are more into, you can also make this into a doodle pattern. So you can make slightly larger scallops. And then you can fill the inside with a pattern. You can imagine how much a sugar skull will look good as just a textured doodled artwork. Maybe I should make that one of my designs. Good idea. Then you can have petals that are split. So you can have like these. These look very nice also. Now, those of you who have a problem making petals equidistant or equal sized, as you come towards the end, you can always figure out how many you can fit. Just see how many you have fit there. And you say, okay, I can fit 3 more over here. A little 19 piece in the shape or the size of the petals really doesn't matter. One of your petals might be slightly thicker. Some of them might be slightly smaller. It won't really matter much. And inside this, then you can make these radial lines. And that will attract attention to the eyes. These will almost look like eyelashes. And if you make them equidistant, they look that much better. Whatever design you are making, make it very seriously, as if you have all the time in the world, and each of those lines is going to, because it does, it matters to the whole result. So this is flowers. There are more complex roses that we can also make. Let me try and show you one, and then we will move to the other designs that you can make. Sorry. Give me a second. All right. So something similar to this, but we don't complete this over here. So let's start off with the same shape, but make it shorter. We will make this petal exactly like how we've made before. But this one, we will end here because from the front now, we are going to make more petals like this. So there's going to be an overlap. Okay, so it's coming over here. We're cutting the bud. Now we'll finish this bud over here, that little shape. And we will make another one just coming from behind. And this is the flap outward. And each of these petals will have a side like that, which is just underneath this line over here. So here it'll come this way. Now we will have a petal that comes like this perhaps. And you can change the shape a little bit and make it like this. So in some places you can point it outward. And this can be the end of the rose in front. And then you can have, I think one more over here would be nice. And then you can have these petals all around. These are like Mughal design petals, but they will look very nice on the rose. Yours. If you feel the inclination to make something even more realistic, feel free to do it. A lot of times, simplistic design is made on artifacts like these because very often these would be made by hand and often for tourists. So the people who are making it do not have the time, or it's not cost effective to make very elaborate designs, especially because tourists don't know any better. So they can make a lot of money off of us. Now, in a few places, you can also put these lines on the inside of the petals. That looks nice too. But only if you can tell which is the inside of the petal. If not, then forget it. Now, the other designs that you can do are just a few squiggly lines here and there. So what you should not do is, whenever you make any kind of squiggly line, please don't make multiple twirls like that. This can look very ugly, and we don't have too many things we can do with this. So always stick to a simple curve, which means a line that curves just once, or a compound curve, a line that curves one way and another. And if you want to make something like this to occupy a lot of space, make it a combination of the two. So you can make a simple curve, a compound curve, from which you have another simple curve going in this way, and then from here you can have a compound curve going this way, occupying more space than a simple curve. So make it grow like that instead of just doing this. Then the second part if you're going to make leaves, making long chain leaves can make the design look rather monotonous. But better than that, if you can make clumps of leaves, and always try to give your leaf a little stalk at the bottom. That gives a nice negative space for the eye to rest. Now over here, it'll be a long chain. So I can turn this around. And I can fill up more than I would have with just this. This is how the composition starts looking nice and grows really well. So we have a simple curve and a compound curve. So now with a simple curve, which is a line like this, what are the options that we have? You can make things like a teardrop shape like that. You can make a kind of filigree that looks like this. You can make a double filigree, so you make one that's like that. You can draw a line in the middle, and then you can draw another one in this direction. But they're still simple curves with a little thickness, so they just developed from here. And then you can put them in repetition. So if you have, say, these teardrop shapes, you can make them in receding order. So size can change, but the shape is the same that repeats, but they're all converging towards the left. So that looks very interesting. The other things that you can change, like in this case, if we have size, here we're changing size. You can make a simple curve filigree design like this. Then you can grow and from there with another one. You can build this into one more if you want, but here a little bit of this shape should also change. And to make this look pleasant enough, beach may you can also throw a teardrop shape. So repeating with a few variations and size, shape, form, and then collaborating with others also works. Now, when we come to compound curves, things can change slightly because this is almost like a backbone for a lot of designs to develop. So let's start with how each end can grow. Very often in a compound curve, say you draw something like that, you can end each of them in a very nice twirl like that, which is slightly thick along the edge. This looks very pretty. And the same thing can be done with the center, also thick. So you can have a hairline along the edges, but the center can have a certain thickness. This almost looks like a strip of paper or a leaf or a ribbon that has been turned around. So a compound curve looks good when it is paired with simple curves also. You have something like this. And at this end, you can have a simple curve. One second, excuse me. You can also have things popping out from here, which can be simple curves. And end this well. then many of these roses can have a combination of leaves as well as elements like these to make them look more robust. Now, remember that when you're designing something on a sugar skull, it does not have to really make logical sense. Suppose you're drawing flowers and then you're drawing something like this. They don't always have to be leaves. But let's do some combination. So let's have leaves like these. Don't do leaves more than 3 at a go. So you have a shape like this, which is just very normal and can be used in a small size, not too large. Then you have the serrated leaves, which go very well with the rose. And in a rose, I would always, again, whenever you're making a stem, make it slightly curved. When you make it straight, it can look a little unnatural. And when you're making the leaves, keep a little gap in the stems. First, make the central spine and then draw the leaf. So now when you're making this zigzag, this often confuses a lot of people. Which side should it go? And I have had students who have been very confused. This is the stem side, but they have made leaves that are zigging and zagging in the wrong direction. So this has happened, and it's happened to me also. Maybe as a child, but in the beginning it does happen. So remember that all your spikes have to point away from the main stem. So when you're drawing this line, either you can imagine the outside as a curve, and then you go out and in, out and in, out and in, going towards the outside. Or you can just make a line over there, like make a rough line. So you'd know where your guideline is. And from there, you can build this. So you go outside of the line, then come back in and touch the line. Go a little further and out, come back and touch. This is how you do it. Now, these things can be made smaller and you can color them up also. And one flower I think you should make or you can make is a flower which has multiple leaves like the sunflower. So you can make it like this. Anything that has radiating leaves in layers looks very nice. So you can have this kind also. This looks very filled up. Baki, it's all up to you, whichever flowers you want to put. If you want to put lilies and orchids, I suppose it's up to you. And unless you make it, you won't know whether it looks good or not. Okay, shall we start designing our sugar skull? So I want to make about 4 of these. So I'm going to make a frame, which is going to be about this big. So 4 sugar skulls should fit in this. I don't want to use a scale, so I'm just going to use my hands to measure the distance. If this is the case, yeah, I want to center it also. And I'm not going to make straight lines because, as you know, straight lines can be a problem really. They make all the other lines look too weak or too crooked. Now I'm just going to pray that this is a proper square. Divide it into 4 parts. and make 4 different sugar skulls in this. Now, my trick to when this happens, see my line has gone a little crooked and I know I'm going to be disturbed by it and I will lose sleep over it. So I will correct it and I'll make a thicker band over here. And I'll also make a thicker band in the center. And I'll do something, some kind of design with this, or I'll just leave it blank and I'll erase it afterwards. Now this is the space that we have for the sugar skull, and I also have an opportunity to make a backdrop. So let's take maybe a rough sheet. And in this, let's try drawing the sugar skull. So I have an inverted heart once, eyes, cheekbones, jaw, and then the head. So it's often the head that throws us off. Everything else you can measure properly. So I'm going to keep this here to measure whether this is the size that I want. I think I can do a little bigger than this. So if this is the space given, I want to make it so big. My nose or the heart of the nose still needs to come in the center. So almost 2/3. So this is where the eye is. Remember how our proportioning was? It's about the same. So the eyes are in the center. Half top would be the skull. Bottom half would be the nose and teeth. So this is the center. My eyes will come here. So I recommend this to everybody, all ages. Please keep some rough paper handy and always try out your design in rough, because it's so heartbreaking when you put in all the effort and then you realize that if only you had just placed your design thoda uppar or thoda niche, it would have looked so much better. Don't give yourself that opportunity to regret. Now here's a fun thing you can also do. You could make teeth that are crooked, because after all they are skulls, right? This could be anyone. You could make a tooth that is broken. It all adds to the joy of the task. These are really funny teeth.
I was about to say this looks like my husband's teeth.
Oh, good Lord. My goodness.
No, they're all like all angles. No, some people have teeth that go like
Yeah,
everywhere, you know.
correct.
So funny, so funny.
Hmm.
And then they spend their childhood wearing braces. Horrible
Yeah,
thing.
I know. No, poor things, huh? Those who have to endure the braces. I believe my mother-in-law gave me the choice and he said, if God made me this way, leave me alone. So
Wow.
he did not have any braces put in. And the funny thing is, to this day, he has not had to drill, had to drill his teeth. Can you believe?
Congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, and he doesn't know what a drill feels like. I was like, and you have teeth like this in all planes.
So I think that the trade-off was not bad, huh?
Sorry?
Even if he doesn't know what a drill feels like, he's one lucky man.
I
Really.
know.
Blessed.
Exactly. Exactly.
So maybe if you're given a choice that you will have teeth all over in all directions, but you will never have to visit a dentist, what would you choose?
Yeah, what would you choose? You're right. I would choose for sure wonky teeth. I'd rather look like the skull.
I think I would like to see how the teeth look, because there are some crooked teeth that look very cute. It's not
his does, Aditi. Very cute.
Anna? Yeah.
Apparently, quite the appeal from the beginning for me. He doesn't understand, but
Oh.
teeth sticking out here, there, everywhere.
Some teeth are really cute.
Yes.
Crooked teeth.
Regular teeth.
The Americans, I think, have very straight teeth, and sometimes they look so unnatural.
That's because they all get braces,
All get
regardless
Yes,
of
they all.
whether they
It is a
have.
culture.
This is the
It's a
Yeah.
tooth
trend.
culture.
It's unnecessary but annoying also. I just don't get it.
Oh, they have a lot of aligners also. They, those
Yeah.
things they wear all the time.
Transparent things, right?
Yeah.
Sleep with it or something. So weird.
So I believe something like that happens also in South America, not just the teeth, but straightening noses and everything is considered very normal.
Oh, that's because of the beauty business.
Yeah,
All the Miss Worlds and all, like, oh,
Correct.
they're all
They are
fixed.
so strict.
yeah, they're all fixed. And they all look like they've come out of a cookie cutter. Because they
Yeah.
have the same jawline and the same type of nose.
I say the same thing about those who get plastic surgery. They all look the same to me.
They all look the same. That's true.
And
I don't know why
sometimes,
they like it also.
yeah, it
It
is
is all
a.
stretched enough. So artificial.
I don't think those people must look very pleasant in person. I dread to.
I doubt it because some of them have been such beautiful actresses and
Yeah,
actors,
true.
and they still gone and messed up. Like the
And some-
Bridget Jones Diary actress.
Yeah.
She was fine.
Okay, so I'm now doing different petals for the eyes. And I realized that depending upon the design, some places I have to reduce the petal size. So appropriately enough, I've chosen this flower for where the teeth are also crooked, so that it all looks like part of the design. So, Susan, I was going to ask you one thing. When we'd gone to Goa in Jan, we went for this walk with Subodh Kerkar.
Okay.
And he was talking about this very interesting thing. And the sugar skulls reminded me of that, about how the colonists integrated local cultural traditions into anything that would fit with their faith, so that the locals would not feel like they are alien.
Right.
So one of the things that he spoke about was this Tulsi Vrindavan that all Hindu homes have in the front yard. And in Goa, apparently, when the Portuguese decided that everybody has to become Christian now, and they converted a lot of people, the locals had a problem getting rid of that Tulsi Vrindavan, because it has for generations been in the house and was the
Right.
first thing that was prayed to every morning. So he said that the local missionaries said, don't destroy it, but instead of keeping a Tulsi on that, which is such a Hindu emblem, why don't you just put a cross? And that's why he said that a lot of old Goan houses have the Tulsi Vrindavan base, but on top of that, it's almost like a shrine that they've made it. So I wanted to ask you, is this something that's seen in maybe Kerala?
No, not in Kerala, no.
Hmm.
No, you do not see it in Kerala. But now that you mention, I think, yes, we have seen many of these kind of crosses in pots. In what is pot shaped, like the square pots.
Right.
Now that you mention, I have seen some of those. Maybe not very common now. But old houses, it's likely,
old
yes.
houses, yeah.
But yeah, not in Kerala. Not in Kerala.
So these are, again, I feel a little remnants of how cultures integrated.
Yes.
Where unless we are told or we ask these questions, we don't even realize that they're all around us.
Yeah. So, in Kerala, so the Christians that came to Kerala, or at least Christianity in Kerala was, it originated very, very early. They say the Syrians. Okay, so one of the Christ apostles came actually to India. Thomas came to India. And so Kerala has had a lot of history from then. But in addition to that, the British missionaries came to Kerala. And they brought in Anglican culture to Kerala, which was not there earlier. Okay, so my generations up to 5 are traced back to this Anglican order. But before that, it was the earlier Syrian order of Christianity. So my great-great-great-grandfather is the one that broke away from that and followed the British missionaries and decided that his family will follow the Anglican order of Christianity.
Okay.
So, yeah, very interesting. So all our names are very westernized, anglicized names in the family. Yeah, because British missionaries, right?
Right.
Churches were all made by the British missionaries and things like that. At least my family. But a large part of Kerala Christians are still very much Syrian Christians. Those converted by the disciples of from that came from Syria. But like now, since you said culture amalgamation, there's one culture we have in among the Christians too, which is wearing the thali. After when you're married, you wear a beetle-shaped pendant, which is basically given by the husband side. Okay. A beetle-shaped pendant, which in other cultures, now Maharashtrian culture, I'm assuming it's Mangal Sutra. But in Kerala, it is a thali. It is common to the Hindus as it is to the Christians. Okay. So it is obviously a native, probably Hindu culture, likely very highly Hindu culture. But now the Christians have taken it and modified it, right? You don't, because people can't associate having a wedding without that thali.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So what do you do now? I mean, now you are a Christian and you do not follow old practices, but you want certain traditions that kind of symbolize that occasion or whatever it is. So the Christian thali, which is handed over at the time, this is the tying of the knot we have in Christian weddings. Again, seen only in Kerala, where you take this thali and you put it on 7 threads taken from the sari of the girl and you tie it around the neck. But the thali of the Christians is a thin betel leaf. It doesn't look like a betel leaf anymore because you've made it so thin, almost like a teardrop. And at the back of the thali, they put a gold cross.
Oh.
But the Hindus have the same thing, but nice and big, like a betel leaf, like an actual betel leaf. And there is no motif at the back.
Wow.
And that tradition continues.
That is so interesting.
Yeah. Very interesting. So I didn't have this for my wedding because I married a Goan. So my side of the family, so my side of the family was like, oh my goodness, you got married without a thali? And so you won't believe, my mom actually bought me one and gave it to me and said, even if you didn't have it exchanged at the wedding, you got to have one. You're a married woman.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So funny. So my husband never gave it to me, but or put it on me, but I still have that one. Can't be a married woman without it, apparently.
Yeah. But I suppose it's even that, the connotations that in society, then how does it look? It gives you so much legitimacy. And I suppose probably our generation is the first one where we don't bother about these things. Hai, nahi hai, It makes no
Correct.
difference. But the
Correct.
older generation, my God, it used to be
Yeah.
symbols are so important.
Very, very.
So, this reminded me when I was in Stockholm. So, there was a lady, she was Italian. And this is what we were talking about. And she said that, we also wear ring, I mean, in the left,
Yes.
middle finger, in the left hand only if you are married. So, she said when she was getting engaged, they also have this ring. So, it has to be the gold ring. So, his father forget it. He was old, so he forget it where he has kept the ring. Anyhow, we have to do the ceremony. So she said that we went and we got the silver ring because the ring has to be there. This is mandatory. So she said then I now wear two rings. One is because after 3 months he realized he got that ring, so she could wear that. So she said now I wear two rings. One is silver, which was done at and then the gold one.
Oh my God.
But the Goans have this tradition, by the way, on their silver wedding anniversary, they have an absolute big wedding party all over again. So
yeah,
a near wedding at their 25th wedding anniversary, usually hosted obviously by the children who are now big. And they have it in church. They have a re-blessing. I mean, like an actual wedding ceremony all over again. And they invite a big jing bang to come. It's like half the size of the original wedding. Will come and they have a lunch or a dinner, whatever the reception be. And the bride and the bridegroom will exchange rings all over again. A bride and bridegroom, mean the old man and the old woman will now exchange rings again.
God.
But this time they are silver rings because at marriage they exchange gold rings. It's a silver anniversary. So you exchange silver rings now. And so you can almost all, like in my parents' generation of older Goan couples, you can straight away see the silver and the gold on the ring finger.
Right.
So straight away when you look at the silver and the gold, they've completed their 21st.
Oh, that's nice.
But even among the Hindus, they have this now for your 50th wedding anniversary. They get married all over again or something like that.
Yes,
they have a complete wedding, like it's like a legit complete wedding with the priest and everything.
Wow.
Tamilian Brahmins have it.
Yeah.
I've seen a Tamilian Brahmin couple so old and standing all over
among
again.
The Tamilians, yeah, it's very popular among the Tamilians.
Yeah.
So 50th, I suppose, would be would be a big deal.
Yes.
But 25, I don't think people are that old. I would be that age. 25. So I'm just wondering, Buddha Buddhi, maybe not.
No, my in-laws had it. And my husband and his brother and his sister, all three of them were by then in their early 20s, right? 20, 21, 23, whatever their ages were. And they did everything. They were singing, they were arranging things, so it is a very different kind of feel also. And a lot of
very
reminiscing.
Nice culture. It's good.
Yeah. It was, I see they have an album now for the 25th. And we were saying they're approaching their 50 now. We should do something similar.
Yeah.
My dad and mom have not had any such thing because Mallus don't do all this.
Oh, I think Mallus have the most austere weddings any case, even the Hindu weddings. One of my Mallu friends was getting married. She said, if you don't arrive on time, it's a 3-minute.
I'm going to miss it. You're totally going to miss it.
You'll miss it.
Yeah. Mallu weddings have become very like social gatherings. I mean, I don't enjoy it anymore, going for these weddings. Most people are there to do no good to others.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, at least in the Christian circles, I feel. Like, I don't know, why would you come there and sit and gossip? What is the point of that? Gossip and food. Oh my goodness. I once went for a wedding in my teens. It was in the summer, and you wouldn't believe, they closed the hall with a gate, like bound the gate closed because people would run off as soon as food was served.
My God, no.
You will not believe. They closed the gates so that you don't run in when the food is served. And when the gates opened, it was like a Black Friday sale.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, you're coming for a wedding.
That is terrible.
You come for the food now. So I actually think you should just serve the damn food.
Yeah.
Yeah. And please
The
go.
ones who care for the
Because-
wedding will sit
Correct.
and actually enjoy the wedding. Nobody else.
Absolutely.
Everybody else
Yeah.
satisfy them also.
Yeah, absolutely. I was most appalled. Like, local
We
train
always comment
nonsense.
about this every wedding. Sometimes we become one of those people who want to eat first because we
Yeah.
don't care about the wedding, but we have to go.
I've just stopped going to weddings now. Firstly, more often than not, they're in summer. The
Yeah.
halls are so ill-equipped, and I think I'm famously antisocial in any case, and I don't care. So I don't know whom to talk to unless it's close family. Then
Yeah.
I just avoid. But I try to then call and go later on, and I realize very often that if I were to say, they say, did you come for the wedding? They don't even remember sometimes because there are so many people.
The thing
So
is, they don't.
unless you click a picture with them, often it's impossible to remember
That's
who
also it's
came.
become part of it, no? That they just want to click pictures.
Yeah.
It's just everything is just not. I don't know the value.
No, but the
of
family,
being
you will be surprised. The family actually go back and check pictures. Huh? For example,
Oh,
I
yes.
said my mom and dad were there, and like
Uh,
2 days later, cousin of mine sends a picture. Found them. I was like,
what?
What? Did you think I lied that they were
Uh-huh.
there?
My
And
goodness.
found them? Weird. It's too much for me. My own traditions.
Yeah, I think there should be some allowance for people who don't like rituals, and people shouldn't take it to heart. Like between my two daughters, one of them has declared that she wants to get married, but she just wants to have a wedding. She doesn't care. Yeah, she doesn't care if there's a groom or not. She says, I want to get dressed up. I want to buy a lot of stuff. I want to do makeup and mehndi and everything. I want to call all my friends. And the groom is optional. As long as nobody is getting married, I want to attend a wedding. Let's just have a wedding for me. And then later on, whenever we find a guy, I'll just get married to him, but wedding to kar lete hain.
It's an absolute good option.
I should do it.
I think it's such a cute option. This is like a movie. It's part 2 of Queen. That I'm not going to wait for somebody to have a good time, and the wedding is the first thing that I'm going to do without a significant
Other, absolutely.
Okay, so
and
I
what
wanted
happens
to
with these weddings is, somehow I feel as much as you look forward to it, it's an amalgamation of two families, not two people also. It's two families. It's the expectations of two families that need to neatly fit, and they never neatly fit. They never ever neatly fit because nobody is at a forgiving stage at that point. Nobody wants to let the other. It's a show of power.
True, very
My tradition and your tradition.
So true, yeah.
Yeah, it's a fight for tradition.
Even if the immediate family of the groom and the bride are sane people, there's no telling what the extended family might be like. And some of them are such cartoons.
Really?
My own family. And you can't apologize enough for them. And you have to invite them for the wedding. So
Oh yeah. So for my wedding, there were a whole lot of cousins who were invited, with my dad and mom. I was the first. And my dad and mom felt like, oh no, if we don't invite this one, this one will feel offended, etc., etc. There was a big problem because we couldn't fit that many, right? We had a number restriction, and it was very difficult. And so we had to have a second reception just to have all those remaining people,
just to appease them.
Just to call them for a meal, right? Everyone wants a meal. There's your biggest thing. And then it's only after this event that my dad and mom realized that some people, I'm talking about family, extended family, They have never met in 30 years at any occasion other than a wedding or a funeral or a baptism or one event like this. Meaning, those people have never visited us and don't care to visit us. But they will be offended if you do not invite for the wedding. And my dad, like for the first time, sat back and thought, why should I invite them? And for what reason did I follow the norm for this one? So when my sister got married, he straight away went through the list all over again and he eliminated all those who did not visit him for the last 30 years.
Oh, that's awesome.
That
he
is
straight
so
away
good.
said, in the 30 years that my children were raised here, if these families or any of these people have not visited me, we are not calling them, even if they are related to us and they are in Bombay or whatever. And you won't believe, my sister's wedding had no need for a second reception.
Areva.
How wonderful, no? But this happens. Firstborns always get the...
Yeah. All trials are on the firstborns.
All mistakes corrected with secondborns.
Correct.
Super corrected. My sister had like grand and glorious. Even parents for that matter. My dad was more, cranky for my wedding. And by her wedding, bindas, no problem. You want this, you want that, you want do what you want.
There was a video, if I'm not wrong, on Instagram where a father was crying at his daughter's wedding. He got emotional and all. And then at his second daughter's wedding, he was all like dancing and all. He was very happy. Like, the first daughter was like, you were crying at my wedding. Why are you happy at her wedding so much?
Yeah. No, parents learn a lot. They learn a lot of rude things. And people are very rude to them. I noticed this afterwards, that a lot of their generation is very, very rude to them when they decide decisions. Yeah. Like, for example, you're letting them have their way, or you're letting them not do this. Yeah, that's the way they talk.
Yeah.
I had an aunt who was like berating my dad, telling him, but why are you letting them do it this way? This is not the way we do it. Like, it is not my wedding.
Yeah.
It is my child's wedding.
Correct.
But
yeah,
no,
this is
so you are letting them, You're letting them do what they do. This is...
Yeah, true.
I felt bad for my dad. Some conversations I overheard, I felt so bad for him. Such people you call relatives. But he's a forgiving guy, I guess.
No, there's these kinds in every wedding.
Yeah. I abandoned a whole lot of people, extra baggage. People who do not have nice things to say don't deserve my attention. Not nice things also. Even keeping quiet, I can tolerate. Yeah, I appreciate those that keep quiet. I really do.
Yeah, if we don't agree with something,
that's enough. I'm not expecting praise. No.
Correct.
But keep quiet. Keep your opinion to yourself.
You just came back from Kerala, right, Susan?
This disastrous. Every time I go, every time I go, I come back thinking. And one of my aunts told me this time. She said, "Don't come back to Kerala, okay? Don't come back to settle here." I said, thank you. So I'm not the only one. But it is true. It is true. Very, very close-minded in general. Not that there are nice people too, but I'm saying, generally speaking, the attitude is very...
It's a very conservative society.
Very conservative. Yeah. So I feel bad my mom and dad have actually decided to settle there and all that, because those things influence their minds even now, So I told my dad this time, I said, you've gone from progressive to, I don't know, backward. But he wanted to go back, so can't say much.
So sad.
But it's a lovely place, great place.
For them, I guess they might also enjoy it, the quiet, little bit, because cities are not getting any better.
No. And life is very, I won't say slow, but it is at a pace you can keep up.
Yeah.
You can keep up. And you don't feel like, I have to run here and I have to run there. No, it's okay. And it slows down at the right time. It almost follows the day. It follows the day. So there is no extra light you have to switch on, because now it's time to, get the house down. 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. People eat at decent hours. We were having chai here at the time they have dinner there. Yeah. They go with the sun, you know. The sun is setting, okay, hello, it's time.
That I really like.
Yeah, that's what we are meant for, that, right?
Correct.
So,
yeah.
And then we come, these city dwellers come, and we do not wake up till 10 o'clock.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Really? And my mom and dad, patience, no, it bears thin. First day quiet, second day quiet, third day quiet. Then fourth day, my mom will be like, you know what? Maybe we should have breakfast separately.
Of course, they're
Of
waiting
course,
for you.
yeah. So then I told my husband, I said, we cannot do this. It's not right.
Yeah.
And anyway, during a regular day, we wake children on time to go to school. So why are we letting loose everything? So then onwards, we got up earlier and we kind of adhered.
I'm glad they did that, because then afterwards, when you come back, you feel that in the morning hours, so much you can do. You miss out on that on holidays.
Correct. And they are done by mid-morning. They are done with their day's activities. Cooking for the day, everything is done.
How's everyone doing with the designs? I've just gone ahead and illustrated, and I forgot to mention that even the backdrop can be decorated.
Very pretty. Your skulls are very pretty. Actually, your lines, your flowers are so pretty always.
It's
you can see practiced a lot. Your practice shows.
It's not.
Yeah,
it is the time pass that I do. I'm telling you, I don't do anything else. Wherever I
still, it's good time pass as compared to some
time pass. Compared to just sitting and twiddling thumbs or constantly chatting and eating, I would say this is a better time pass to do. The only thing I regret is I cannot read when I am doing this. And reading is not as good as listening to audiobooks. I like to see the words, I like to turn pages, but I often give up on reading for doing this and listening to a podcast. But that should change at some point. I would really like to read much more.
I find it really strange. I can't listen to a podcast. I don't have the patience. I find it much easier to read.
I'm the same. I can't listen.
I just can't listen. Somewhere I just lose track, and I'm like, okay, I'm not hearing what this person is saying.
I am now fixated on podcasts.
Same here.
Because I realize that now I don't have the patience to cook without something in my ear.
I agree. Same here.
I get so worked up, This headphone is not charged. It's not charged. And I cook without something.
Yeah.
I just need the sound. Well, not a podcast.
I learn a lot through, when I'm making the same stuff again in the kitchen, I remember what I had heard in the podcast the last time.
Yeah,
I do it. I'm gardening. I'm art, of course, constantly. I'm listening to podcasts.
Correct.
Shrishti, your hand is up. You have something to ask?
Yeah, I want to request if you could just do a quick recap of the proportions of making a skull. It will be helpful because, my...
Can I have a look at the skulls that you've made?
Yeah, sure. 1 second.
Yes, can you be quiet?
Yeah. You can just hold it up if you want, if that's more convenient.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to pin your frame so I see it better. Oh, nice variety. Okay, so could you click a picture and share it on the group? Then I can share that image and I can tell you where you can make changes.
Sure.
Okay, all right. Now, as far as sugar skulls is concerned, otherwise, Shrishti, any proportion is fine. So even if your shapes are different, and I can guarantee everybody has got all sorts of shapes of their skulls because the proportions are all over the place. Now, one advantage is that your artwork does not look like an aberration because it's a graphic image. If this were to be a human face, then of course we would have to worry. But other than that, it would, the skulls that you've made, I'm just looking at the image, would still be fun to illustrate. You wouldn't have a problem with that. So let me tell you where you might feel there's a problem. Okay. So in principle, your line is very good. You've got the right shapes, and only the lengths of those lines could be altered. Like over here, you could have the cheekbone between the, a little higher between the eye and the mouth. And then like this chin, I think is more like a Jay Leno chin. So you can bring it closer, and it's the same shape. It just needs to be slightly shorter. That's as far as this skull is concerned. And you can see that everything else is perfectly fine. In this case, maybe you want to spread the eyes out a little bit, but even here, if the line is straight, let me change the color. Maybe leave some more room from the sides so that you can then make this straighter and bring it down. So it's just the curve that is probably throwing you off, and likewise even here. So give more space. And now that you've made the designs, you know how much space you want over there. So it's consistently the size of the jaw. Here, again, if this is what you'd made, it would be perfectly fine. Now, in this whole thing also, if the entire picture were enlarged, I'm just going to make a screenshot of this and send it to you so you can keep these corrections. If the proportions were increased a little bit, then you could have occupied a larger space and you would have more space to make all the decorations. Okay, does this help?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right, so we're at 10:58, 2 minutes to 11. Does anyone have any other questions, any corrections?
Do we have to paint it on our own?
Yes, you can paint it on your own because I don't really need to. It's just basic paints, and I would encourage you to use all sorts of colors if you want to. So like Alka said, if you want, you can use crayons and then put black around it, or you can use, so in that case, what you could do is also first make the design in crayons and then paint. Even if you paint over it, maybe the black paint will not
No, it won't
stick onto
stick on
crayons. So it'll just, it'll be easier to paint over that. Then you could use color pencils. Color pencils also are nice because the area that you have to paint is so tiny that it might be a little bit of a problem painting it. So those of you who are comfortable with that, you can also do a combination. So you could just make lots of washes and wet on wet drops of color onto the entire rectangle, and then let it dry and then do negative painting and paint the black parts. That will also look very nice. So there's hajar options which you can explore with this. And each of the four, all four of them can look completely different. That's also fine. Okay. All right. So are you all comfortable doing this painting as homework through the week? Because the other option is we can do the painting next week.
No.
Naina?
We'll try doing it as homework, no?
Try and do it as homework, yeah.
And
And
it'd be nice to share then. Everybody
yeah,
can share.
yeah.
I did one that is slightly different. Can you see it?
Oh my God. That's so cute. Oh, that actually reminds me, I was going to tell everyone that you can do other things as well. You don't have to stick with the Mexican designs. If you want, you can try traditional Indian patterns also, Indian flowers, and see if that makes it look more Indian than Mexican. I doubt it, but it just might be. Very nice. So do me one favor, everyone. Before you paint it, when you finish the pencil work, please share the image. And then after painting, share your image. Very nice. Ritika, yours I saw. I didn't comment. Very nice, Shivani. Good, good. Lovely. Super.
It's fun. I like this kind of stuff.
Same
It's like the picture just makes you look happy, like feel
Yeah.
happy.
Very nice. Very good, Susan. Looking lovely.
Aditi, I have some pictures of one of my, like, I work with Mexican team. So they share me some of the pictures, but they are not like skull one, but how they actually perform their rituals.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Nice. That'll be good.
I just have like 3 or 4 pictures. I'll share them on WhatsApp.
Yes, please
I
do.
was just trying to search for them.
Okay.
Archana, those pictures you shared were so nice. The Haida art type ones. Those were really pretty.
I happened to like see that like recently when I was actually I used to go to that place regularly, like it's just nearby. So when Aditi showed that, then I thought like I saw something like this. Then I went today and I captured it.
But
I happened
can
to
you
like it's quite different, but
no,
I
can you
think
find out that these look more like representations of what might have been cave art or cave sculpture? The lines are too organic. They're almost like how we see constellations. The stars are there, they're immovable, and within that, we're trying to create some patterns. So if you can, maybe you can just share where this is, and then we can all read up on the history of where those graphics have come from, if there is a history.
yeah, I should find out.
All right. Okay, so I'm gonna have to end this session. As much as the chatting is fun, because I have to rush off to the next class. I shall see you on Saturday next. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.